Hey, so this is a special stipulation agent tip. So I wanted to go over this because you really need to know how to write special stipulations when you're a real estate agent. And excuse me, um, there are ways to get special stipulations that are through our forms catalog in the GAR forms, in the RE forms, in our paperless pipeline. I'm going to show you where to get all of those. But I first want to talk about the fact that we even can write them. Did you know that there are states in which you have to have an attorney write any change to a contract, or for that matter, write the contract itself? And we have been given the privilege to save a lot of time and our clients a bunch of money by giving us the privilege and the honor of being able to write a special stipulation. Now, that means that you've got to know how to do it well, so that you have a concrete, something that's going to stick together in a court of law, special stipulation. So, just wanted to go over that with you. I think it's really super cool because Georgia, the Association of Realtors, has lobbied for us to be able to do this. So let's do it well. Let's do it better than our competitors and make sure that we keep those special stipulations really concrete. So each special stipulation should have some parameters. Number one, who is doing what? Right? So let's say Breyer agrees to submit additional earnest money within 3 days of extension. Okay, who, what, when, and by whom? Well, buyer's going to do this and give it to the holder. So who's holding it would be important. So, fill out all of those things. And then what's the consequence? If they do not, should they not remit this within 3 days of extension or whatever, there should be a consequence, whether that consequence is that the seller can terminate the agreement and receive the original part of the buyer's earnest money in full. That could serve as a consequence. So, consequences, I think we did an agent tip on that before, where, consequences and an amendment to address concern are very important, because if a seller chooses just not to do a couple items on that list and you don't have a consequence, you could end up in court with the judge telling your buyer, you got to move in. It's not a material enough defect or a material enough issue that the seller did not complete and do what they said they were going to do. So if you have a consequence, then you're pretty well solid. So let's make these concrete special stipulations. So let's take a look at where you can get them. Because first of all, you can call me. If you want to call me, you can call me, but there are other places to go first that you might want to still look at to see if you have an option before you call me, or you call an attorney. But a broker or an attorney, either one, can write a special stipulation for you, and that can certainly help you out. But there are a lot of them that are pre-printed. So I'm going to show you, first of all, I like transaction desk, right? So in your forms, and I'm sure you could do this in Remine as well, if you use Remine. God bless you if you use Remind. Anyway, I'm in transaction desk under forms and in the old-fashioned way, which I like, this older legacy version or whatever. So all we have to do is really type special stip. Okay. And then you see you have a special stipulations index, and you have all the special stipulations written out. There's even one that's just designated for the purchase and sale agreements. If you are not using GAR forms, there are still special stipulations in the RE forms. They were most lately revised in 2020. Now, what's happened since 2020? Well, we've had a couple of NAR settlements since 2020. So it's one of the reasons why I really, really wish everyone would use GAR forms, but you can use ERE forms. They are still legal forms. So let's just go into the special stipulations index, because I think most of you use the GAR forms, and you can kind of see, whoops, I didn't mean to do that. I meant to hit a preview. You can kind of see how they have set them out. So contingencies for agency, agricultural land. So that's really good if you have a survey issue, due diligence or inspection issue, earnest money deposits, consideration, any of this. And then you can just kind of scroll through and take a look. Due diligence, okay. Repairs paid by seller with a limit on cost. That's a good thing because you've got to know, okay, these are the repairs. They're being paid for by the seller. Who's doing them? Could be a contractor, may not be a contractor. For how much? Now you got the money involved. And then what happens if they don't do that? Okay, so remember that consequence. Those are the 5 things. Keep those 5 things in mind, regardless what you do. A walkthrough list, there's a survey. So these are all spelled out. So you can scroll through here. There's an extensive list and you can take a look. So let's see. We need a special stipulations for a permit contingency. Now that could be a very unusual thing, right? How about carpet to be professionally cleaned? So let's just for giggles, I want to go there and I want to look at special stip 716 and 708. So we close this and we go into the actual special stipulations, and then they should be in number, right? So we're at 708, I think was the first one. Oop. Here we go. Carpet to be professionally cleaned. Seller shall have all carpeted areas cleaned by a professional within 3 days of closing, and seller shall provide the paid invoice for said cleaning to buyer at closing. There is no consequence in this special stipulation, so make sure that you add some kind of a consequence to the end. But that's a professional special stipulation. The one with the permits, I'm just curious about this one. This agreement is contingent upon buyer obtaining required permits, approvals, or covenants and restrictions from the applicable regulatory bodies. If such permits, approval, or covenants and restrictions do not allow the current or intended use of the property as described herein, single-family residential home, 2,500 square feet or more. The more specific you get, the better your contingency or your special stipulation is too. So buyer may terminate this agreement by notice to the seller no later than, here's your time frame, no later than 10 days from today or 30 days out from binding agreement date, whatever, 10 days from closing. If buyer does not provide timely notice to the seller, this contingency is deemed waived. Oh, there's my 5th one, that consequence, okay? But be careful, right? Because if the buyer does not provide timely notice to the seller, the contingency is waived. It's waived, completely waived, meaning it doesn't exist. So these things are real important to read very carefully and thoroughly. All right. All right, let's get out of this. I want to show you in paperless pipeline, because as things come up every now and then, especially during like 21 to 23, we had a lot of, man, we're getting 30 offers on a property. What do we do? So appraisal gap language and things that actually were not in the special stipulations within the GAR forms. So in the reference section of paperless pipeline, I'm logged into paperless pipeline, you can see appears transactions. Now, I might have a few more buttons than you do, but I know you all have access to the reference section of paperless pipeline. Go here and you can put in special stipulation, click search, and see what comes up. So there's 2 of them. One was uploaded in 21, the other one uploaded in 24. I'm going to open the one in 24. This is 18 pages of already written out stipulations that you can look at and you can do. Now, there's a page 7, new GAR stipulations as of 2022. Seller to provide a copy of the tenant's lease agreement. And this was authored by Amy Davis of Davis and Associates. This is an attorney. So again, like you can get a broker or an attorney to write a special stipulation for you. I personally, because it's my license on the line, I would rather have the opportunity to write it for you. But you can always make sure that those 5 little things are always covered. Updates to HOA letters. There's some really good ones in here that you may never have thought you would need. Here's an appraisal gap. That's the one where buyer to bring cash for difference between low appraisal and contract price. Now, there are some things to look for in here depending on who you are representing, because there are times where the appraisal gap language doesn't really protect a seller. That might be a separate agent tip. So be careful of that. Okay. There's quite a few in here. Buyer brokerage compensation. Now, there are some things in here that are from 2022 that you might want to, just check with me first before they go out there, because some of the laws have changed and rules have changed. So guys, if you go through all this stuff and you're like, dang, I still can't find the special stipulation I need, please don't write it on your own unless you know that it is concrete, unless you have talked to a broker. If you can't reach me, we have a broker hotline. If you forget what that number is, go to the homepage of MX1 Core, click on the passwords, which I really shouldn't open on the internet, but here's the broker response line, 770-913-6293. That should get you one of 4 different brokers now that can help you if I'm unavailable. You can always leave me a message. You can text me what you're thinking. I just want you to be rock solid in your special stipulations, because who wants a surprise when, like somebody misunderstood something? Most of the lawsuits that we see, not that we've gone through some, because we actually haven't, but I don't ever want to be there in court. But what a lot of them that we see in the legal books in real estate have to do with sloppy stipulations. Somebody writes something and it's not clear. So what happens when you have that grapevine effect, right? If you remember when you were a kid and, there's like 10 of you little kids sitting in and somebody whispers, I want to have a beach ball at the beach club. And then the next person says, I want a beach ball at the beach. And then the next person says, I want to have a beach ball. And then it gets all the way to the end and somebody says, I love peaches. And it's all different because people misunderstood, right? Because it may not have been super clear to them what was being said. That can happen much more in writing than it can even with the grapevine effect. So let's make sure that our special stipulations are solid. If you have any questions whatsoever, I'm here to help. I want to help. I want to have your contracts be solid. Everybody be happy, happy, happy at the end, and not have any surprises or lawsuits, right? Who wants to be a part of that? Please let me know how I can help. I'm happy to be your broker. Thank you. Have a great day.